We got South Carolina going to Columbia, Missouri, 7 Eastern, ESPN. Missouri started this week favored by 13.5, according to BetMGM. That line has dropped down to 10.5. Now, why is that? You'd like to think that's because LaNorris Sellers was not listed as out on the injury report on Wednesday night. He was listed as questionable. Feels like there's some optimism around him playing, but who are we picking to win this game? We'll break it all down, give you our pick in a matter of moments. Before we do that, make sure you're subscribed. If you're a college football sicko, a Missouri fan, a South Carolina fan, whoever you're a fan of, we're talking ball year round, the best sport on the face of the planet. If you want to be as dialed in as possible to the best sport on the face of the planet, make sure you're subscribed right here. So for South Carolina, I just mentioned LaNorris Sellers, banged up against Vanderbilt, little concussion situation there, listed as questionable. I mentioned the optimism and the potential of him playing in this game. Just the way that it feels right now to me is that I think we're going to get him in this game. Vegas also going from 13.5 to 10.5, a 3-point swing right there. Feels like they are accounting for LaNorris Sellers, at least suiting up and playing in this game. But here's the big question. If LaNorris Sellers does play, what version of LaNorris Sellers am I getting? Am I getting LaNorris Sellers at his peak powers where he's running around and making people miss? We're calling quarterback design run on 3rd and short, 4th and short. Or is it the diet version of LaNorris Sellers where, yeah, you have him as a passer, and yeah, he's out there being mobile, but we're being a little bit careful. Careful is never a good way to play football the way that LaNorris Sellers plays football. So we'll see how that whole thing progresses. But if I'm going to pick South Carolina to win this game, or if they win the game, period, I need a closer to like 85-90% version of LaNorris Sellers that we're used to getting versus like a 70% version of LaNorris Sellers, if that all tracks. Now, the quarterback matchup in general is epic because I think you're going to get Sellers. And on the other side of this thing, one Bo Pribula, who's got Penn State fans kind of scratching their head like, hang on a second, should we have maybe had that guy as our starting quarterback based on how things look right now for a one Drew Aller? I don't know if I'd go that far, but Bo Pribula looks nicey, to quote John Gruden. 76% completion percentage on the year, and just when you watch the guy play football, he's got some juice. Okay, he can throw it, he can run it, he runs this offensive system like an absolute orchestra. It has been phenomenal to see him balling so far for Missouri. Now, the competition filter for this offense hadn't been like creme de la creme, but look good against Kansas as an offense overall. The rushing attack has been sensational. They had not one, but two running backs in that one game against Kansas go for over 100 yards. Then, like I said, Bo Pribula and his legs sprinkle out on top into this game, and it's something to account for if you're South Carolina. Now, the reason why I mentioned the quarterback run game in this spot is if you go back and watch that game against Vanderbilt for South Carolina defensively, game got out of hand because South Carolina could do nothing offensively after LaNorris Sellers left the game, but defensively for South Carolina, they were terrified of Diego Pavia running the football. I just go back and watch it. Every play action, every read option, any single play where Diego Pavia could have potentially carried the football, you had 1 to 2 linebackers chopping their feet and not just checking, but like double, triple checking that Diego Pavia wasn't going to tuck it and get north and south. I'm curious what the game plan is here for South Carolina regarding Bo Pribula and his legs. Because you got to think you would respect Bo Pribula running the football. Is there the same level of concern that there was for defending Diego Pavia? Because if you're going to give that same level of attention, it's going to be the same kind of result for Missouri offensively. Because Ahmad Hardy can tote the pill, dude. And not just like get you for a little chunk play if you don't account for the proper gaps in your run defense. It's like, no, he could home run hit against you. Okay, he's been a big-time addition for them via the transfer portal. And I mentioned Jamal Roberts as well, what he was in that game against Kansas. Could be bad news if you don't have the proper attention to the entirety of this backfield. If you overcommit to the quarterback run, it would be very, very bad for business. Now, on the flip side of this, how does LaNorris Sellers, assuming he's your guy in this game, handle the pressure from Missouri? Because Missouri, man, they like to wreak havoc. 10% sack rate on the year. Just the way that Corey Batoon calls that thing, they're going to get after you. It's pressure. Like there is going back to the game that Missouri played against Kansas, I think it's our best sample size to kind of assess what Missouri is right now. Whenever you play a mobile quarterback, I think there is a couple of different trains of thought as a defensive coordinator. There's one train of thought of we're just going to kind of drop the net, keep it all in front of us, try and play assignment sound football, and just make sure we don't give up the big chunk play and kind of bottle this guy up as best we can. Then there's the Corey Batoon philosophy, which is we're coming after you. Ready or not, here we are applying the pressure. If we get beat on the back end, so be it, but it's not going to be because we didn't try to get after your quarterback. was successful doing that against Jalen Daniels. Think it'll be the same kind of approach against LaNorris, especially with the pretty fair thought beforehand that he's probably not going to be at the 100% version of what we've come to expect from LaNorris. So here's the question then. Can LaNorris beat you, if you're Missouri, the same way he beat you last year? Because there's kind of this irresponsible narrative, I think, running across college football throughout the course of, this preseason and going into the season is LaNorris, really good running the football, but as a passer, that's where, you kind of can get him. LaNorris went for 353 and 5 touchdowns last year against this Missouri defense. Completed 70% of his passes. Translation, if he sees it the way he saw it a year ago and you want to take that same approach, he can beat you. Right now, will he beat you? Remains to be seen. But just because LaNorris may not be the action figure we're all used to him being in this spot, given his health, he can still beat you with his arm. But is it the same level of success? TBD. Going back to Missouri offensively really quick, it's sort of been, I think, under the radar a little bit, and maybe it's tough to have a good gauge for this because of who Missouri hasn't played to this point. And that's not knocking Missouri. It's just kind of the nature of their schedule. I like them a lot running the football as an offensive line. I don't love them pass protecting as an offensive line. Against Kansas, gave up 4 sacks. Okay, I think South Carolina, from a talent perspective, has more to make you worried than a Kansas did. So Dylan Stewart, BT on the other side of that thing, number 46, man, we gotta apply some pressure. Got to get off the edge. Got to impact Bo Pabula. What is the efficacy level there for South Carolina in the front 7? And then also for Bo Pabula, who's to say he doesn't break contain, eyes downfield, big shot play downfield. We're striking up the band, and before you know it, South Carolina's down 10-0 on the road with LaNorris that's not playing his very best football because he's a little bit dinged up. Things should get out of hand pretty early, to keep it a buck here, when it comes to Missouri and them having the home field and all those things around South Carolina and what we don't know about them. So here's my thing. I was very high on South Carolina coming into the year. And so far, there has not been a lot to warrant the preseason expectations I had for them. Everything on paper here, to me, points towards Missouri. Run game for Missouri looks really good. South Carolina did not look good against the run last week against Vanderbilt. LaNorris, again, I've said it now probably 3 or 4 times. We don't know what we're getting from him. He's still questionable. I'm thinking he plays, but if he doesn't play, that changes this whole discussion entirely. I think he plays. I think that this is the game in college football in week 4 where it's like, man, that just didn't make sense. Didn't make sense. Was talking to Caden Smith, our producer, before this very segment. He's like, you know what? I don't think you can quit South Carolina. I think you're about to pick them outright. Cato, I will not bet money line, but I will definitely take that plus 10.5 in this segment. We're not walking the line here and trying to ride the fence. I'm picking South Carolina to win the football game. I think it's close. I think it's back and forth. I think Bo Pabula is a dog, but I just think South Carolina, true to Shane Beamer fashion, doesn't make sense. Not a whole lot of things to give you a super concise explanation as to why South Carolina is going to win this football game, but I think the Beamer traits show up. I think we see some special teams involved here, a little Beamer ball action. I think the final score in Columbia, Missouri here is 31-28. South Carolina gets it done on the road, and wouldn't you know it, a Shane Beamer football team winning a game that makes 0 sense. Here we are. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Twitter, @JodyPicKell. Tell us why you agree or why you think we're absolutely stupid, but we appreciate y'all being locked in. Again, make sure you're subscribed on the way out. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.